Hi guys, so in this video I'll be showing you how to use Autodesk 123D design. So it's a very beginner friendly software, and this is software which I use to design something really quick. So I've been using it for quite some time now, and then I have other softwares like Autodesk Fusion 360, SolidWorks, CATIA and all that. But suppose I have to do something really quick, I go to this software, and because it is very beginner friendly and it is quick, and so you can design as like faster with this. So so on my Instagram page, like whatever 3D printed parts you see have been designed with this, because all these were I mean, like I had a shortage of time, so so the only thing that comes to my mind when I have less time and I have to design some good stuff is Autodesk 1 to 3D. So this arm has been designed with um, this software. Okay, so these were the parts of that. Yeah. So I'll show you. Yeah, it's here. This is the Autodesk snapshots of the design. So this is also designed with that, and even this. So all of the 3D printed parts that are there on my Instagram page have been designed with this software. So you can see how useful it is if you want to 3D design and 3D print something. Then this is the software that you have to go for. So when I click on the software, um, it looks something like this. Before this page, there's a pop-up which says start a new project. I just close that, and then you can come here. And then so in this video, I'll be showing you some basic stuff, and then there'll be another video which will be advanced stuff, which will be about how do we sketch our own custom shapes, and how do we extrude, and how do we build some advanced things. Okay, so this video will be about primitives. So primitives are some shapes which already Autodesk gives us so that we can build upon them. So first what I would do is, when I'm creating a new project, I would go ahead and save it. So how to save is, like, on the left side, instead of unlike the other software, they usually have file, edit, view and all this on the taskbar, but here there is this Autodesk 1 to 3D design. So I just click on that, and then I just click on save a copy and save it to my computer. When I click that, this is the usual thing that you get on any software. So I'll put my 1 to 3D model. Okay, I'll save it on my um, desktop. Okay, so I've done saving it. Now the next thing would be to learn the controls. Okay, so the first control would be zooming in and zooming out. So I would do that by scrolling the mouse wheel in and scrolling the mouse wheel out. So if I scroll the mouse wheel up, then I zoom out. When I scroll the mouse wheel in, then it zooms in. Okay, this is how you zoom in and zoom out uh, in the workspace. So when I say workspace, this is my workspace. The grid that you see is my workspace. So I'll be designing all my 3D models on the grid. So then the next thing would be orbit is something to do with changing the, you can say, like, changing the angle, revolving around the grid and all that. So that would be holding the right click and then moving your mouse. When I do that, I can, like, go in any direction. Okay, so this is orbit. And then the other thing would be pan. So I would do pan with my scroll wheel, hold down the scroll wheel and move the mouse. This would be pan. So if I have to move something, if my workspace is over here, I want to bring it to the center, I hold the scroll wheel and then move it to the center. Okay, so this is zoom in and zoom out, and then orbit, and then pan. Okay, so suppose you don't have a mouse, then there is pan, orbit and zoom on the right side. So it just converts your mouse pad into pan temporarily, and you can use it like pan, and then when you click on orbit it becomes orbit temporarily, and then there is zoom. So but I usually prefer designing something uh, with a mouse. Okay, that is a good way to use a mouse. That's like almost all the professionals use it. So then suppose you are stuck in some view, I mean like you're stuck in some option, so you can just click escape on your keyboard and you'll be out of that menu or out of that function. Okay, so now that is how you zoom in, zoom out, and pan and orbit. So there is this cube which is really helpful to decide the view. So right now what you're seeing is some part of top and some part of left. Suppose you want to see the left side only, then you click on the left and then you can see left. Then suppose you want to see the top side, then you can see top. So this will be more clear once I add shapes here. So let's go ahead and add some shapes into our workspace, into this grid. So how do I do that is on the top, unlike other softwares where they usually have a lot of text and a lot of options, here they are just icons. Okay, it's not very intuitive, but it still is a lot more simpler than the other softwares. So so let's go to this. It says primitives. This one says sketch, construct, modify, pattern, grouping, and then combine, measure, text, and snap, and then last one says material. So let's try the first one, that is primitives. So primitives has some standard shapes that Autodesk already has provided us so that we can build using these already available um, shapes or solids. So so let's go ahead and add a box into our workspace. So how do I add is I just left click once, and then my my arrow is stuck with a box, right? So I just click left click again once, then it stays in my workspace. So then I use my orbit tool to see it from the other side. Now I see it's a cube, right? So it's a box. So now suppose I want to uh, add few more shapes. What I do is I go to primitives and and take a sphere and then drop it. Then I go to primitives and then I add a cylinder. Then I go and add a cone, and then I can same way add a lot of other solids. Okay, so I'll add all of them. Okay, so pyramid, and then there is also hemisphere. Okay, so I've done adding all of them. So now if you can see, they are all different shapes, but all of them are same size. Okay, they're all 20 by 20 by 20. So 20, what I mean by 20 by 20 by 20 is 20 in width, 20 this way, and then 20 height. So the square has three dimensions, right? Like 1, 2, and then this. So all of them are 20, 20, and 20. So so when I see it from the left, um, they look something like this. When I see it from the top, they look something like this. When I see it from the back, it looks something like this. So it's not in a proper view. I also have this barrel roll on the right side. You can make it go like this, like this. Yeah. So and I can go back to my front view and then use my orbit tool to slightly see it from this direction so that I can see all of them properly. So there is also another thing called home here. Suppose you are lost somewhere like this and you are unable to locate your grid and you can't see it, so you can just click on home and it brings you back to a place where you can see all of your objects. Okay, so so yeah, so now let's see how you can mm, okay, before that, I would like to show you something. So, so when I go right, or I guess front, I think, see, when you see it from here, the spear is at the front, this wedge is in the front, and this box is behind the spear, and the box is behind the wedge, right? So when I see it from the front, uh, in the real world, the spear should look slightly bigger than the box, and this wedge should slightly look some bigger than the box. But if you see it from here, it is all looking the same size. That is because we are in a view this. So yeah, so I was talking about views. So this view is called orthographic view, where all of the size, all the objects look the same size irrespective of how far or how near they are placed. So there is this another arrow here, the drop down arrow, which when you click, there is these two things. One says orthographic, the other says perspective. So since I'm in orthographic mode right now, you can see that no matter how far or near the object is, it will all appear the same size. When you click on perspective view, now when you go and see from the front, you see that the sphere is slightly bigger than the square and the wedge is slightly bigger than the cylinder. But when you go back to the orthographic view, you see all of them are same size. You see the difference, right? So that is orthographic and perspective view. So usually for designing, we would prefer orthographic view. I guess like I would prefer orthographic because you can relate the objects with each other very easily. So that is the view. Suppose I want to delete something. So what I do is I select the object, I hover over the object and then left click once. Okay, I hover over the object, left click once. Then I click delete on my keyboard, it gets deleted. So I hover over the object, left click once and it gets highlighted, and then I click on delete. Hover over the object, left click once and then delete. So that way I can delete the objects that I don't need. So as of now, I'll keep only the square, I mean the box, and delete all of them. So I have the box right now. Okay, so this box is 20 by 20 by 20. So right now this thing is in so it's 20 by 20 by 20. So suppose I want to make it bigger or smaller or change the dimensions. Okay, so what I do is I hover over it, then left click once. When I left click, it get highlighted, and then this um, menu appears on the bottom. So once first one says move, smart scale, scale, hide, material, export selection, send to mesh mixer, and all of this. But we would be dealing mainly with the first five. Okay, so move, as it says, it is something which will help you move the object. First one is, the second one is smart scale. So let's see what this does. So let's click on this. When you click on this, you will be able to see what are the dimensions of the current object that you have selected. And then when you hover over the dimensions, it get highlighted in red. That means you can click it and they are editable. Okay, so when you hover over the object and then left click once, then you have this editable box where you can key in the value that you want to put. I mean, like, now I want to change the width, so instead of 20 I can key in 30, and then the box becomes slightly bigger in width. And then if you want to reduce the height and make it say 10, the height gets reduced to 10. Or if you want to make the height more for some reason, so you can put 50 and then the height becomes 50. And the same way you can make the other side also 30, and then now you have something like this, right? So now I would go back and then make this 10, so it looks something like this. uh, so now this is how you modify the dimensions of a solid. Okay, so now suppose I want to move this. Okay, so usually when I'm moving an object, when I'm selecting an object, I usually or I would recommend you guys to select it when you are in this view. I mean, like, when you are slightly viewing the object at an angle, so that the entire object is visible to you. And when you are moving, I would want you to move, go to one of the sides, front or back or right, or some one of the sides, and move it from there. Okay, so when you are selecting an object, select it this way, and when you are moving it, uh, use one of the sides. Okay, so now to select it, I just hover over it and left click once, it gets selected, then this menu appears. So I want to move it, so I'll click on move. So when I click on move, I get this arrows and this scroll keys, which will help me move and rotate this object. So as I said, if I have to rotate it, I'll go to one of the sides, either of them, right, front, left, or anything. And then I would use this arrows to move up and this arrow to move right and left. So there is other arrow on this side, which you could view it only from the other angles. So I will go to the other angle with the help of my orbit tool like this, and then use this arrow and then pull this arrow left and right, front and back basically. So this is how you move the object. Suppose you want to change the orientation. I mean, orientation, what I mean is, like, if I want to rotate it, so I see it from the front, and then I can rotate it this way. Okay, or you could go from the other direction and then use this and rotate it like this, or you could use this and rotate it like this. So this is how you rotate the object. So I have rotated this, and this is how you move the object. Okay, so this is about moving it. So then the other thing would be like, this is how you could move the object and all that, and then the smart scale. There is other option called scale. Okay, suppose you want to keep the width and the height and all of this proportional, but you just want to enlarge it, just scale it up, scale it down. So then you just hover over it and click it. Then there is option called scale, which will keep all the I mean, like, ratios same. I mean, like, the width to height and to side, all the ratios will remain same, but you will be able to make the size bigger or smaller. Okay, by 2 times or 3 times or whatever times you would want it to make. So if you say 2 times, now the width will become twice, the height will become twice, and the other side also will become twice. Okay, this is how you scale the object. Okay, so this is how this is the main options or the main controls that you should know to start designing. So the next thing would be, suppose you want to put a cone on top of this. Okay, so I'll go ahead and take a cone, and then I placed it somewhere here, and then now I want to put this cone on top of this. So first thing I would do is I would select this and then move. So as I said, while moving it, I'll go to one of the sides, that is front side, and then move it up, and then bring it like this, and then I would drop it on it. Okay, so I can zoom in and see whether I've placed it exactly properly. So from this side it looks proper. So now I'll zoom out and then orbit and then see whether it is properly in the center. It's not in the center. So how do I put it in the center? It is, now I select it and then click on move and then see it from the right side. So now when I see it from the right side, I can see that it is on the right side. So I'll just move it to the center. So now it's in the center, right? Yeah. So and then I left click once somewhere outside. I'm out of that menu. So when I see it from the top, it is still slightly offset. I mean, like, it is still on the left side more, and right side there is a lot of gap here. So how do I fix it? Is, like, again select it and then click on move, and then see it from the top, and then slightly move it. Okay. Yeah, now it looks almost like we are almost there. So we'll be dealing with dimensions and placing it exactly in the center, but for now, for this video, this should be fine. Okay, so now since I placed this cone on top of this, so I wanted a solid something like this. Ideally, when I move this, it should all move together, right? But it's not moving. So that is because they are still two different solids. They are not, it is not a single solid. So how do I combine this together so that it is one single piece, not separate? So I can do that by going to this thing on top which says combine, and then in under combine there is this option called merge. When I click on merge, I have to select the solid that I want to merge with, and I have to select the solid that I have to merge with this solid. Okay, so once I'm done selecting both, you can go back to combine merge, and when I click merge, it gets combined. You can see that I'm still in the same menu. So the thing that I do to get out of the menu is click escape. So when I click escape, I will be out of the menu. and now you will be able to see that I can move the objects together. This is how you combine it. Okay, yeah. So now we know how to combine it and how to build one single solid. So yeah, yes guys, so in the previous video we stopped at a point where we learned how to combine objects. Okay, now in this video I'll be showing you few more um, uh, options that are there with this tool. I mean, like, to make your shapes look more good. So if you see here, the edges are sharp, right? Like, so you want to bevel the edges, like make it smoother. So what you can do is, there is this option here on top which is modify. Under modify we have fillet and chamfer. Okay, so fillet is, it creates rounded edges, and chamfer will create flat beveled edges. So I'll click on fillet for now, and then let's see what it does. So fillet works on the edges, it doesn't work on the face. So when I say edges, these are the edges, these lines are the edges, and the other flat faces are, I mean, like, the flat things are called faces. Okay, so I'll click on the edge, and when I click on the edge there is an arrow which you can see, and when I push the arrow inside, it creates a rounded edge instead of a sharp edge. So you can move the arrow manually, or you could put the radius here. So I would prefer putting the radius so that I know what the radius is too, so that I can do the same radius for the other three sides. Okay, so that is fillet. So I'll fillet the other edges also. So instead of doing one by one, it's good that we do all of this together. So I'll hit Control Z, and then I'll go and select fillet, and then I'll select all the edges. So how do I select all the edges? Is like one after the other. Again, I'll use my orbit tool to orbit around, and then I would key in value 2 here. When I do that, you can see my solid, all four sides are filleted. Okay, so now let's try what chamfer is. So chamfer will be something similar, but instead of flat round, I mean, like, rounded edges, it creates flat edges. So I've selected chamfer. So let's try it on the bottom edges. So I'll select the bottom edge. So when I did that, it created a flat edge. You could see it created a flat edge. So as I said, it's better to do all four sides together. So I hit escape, and then I'll go ahead and select chamfer again, and then click this edge, and then I'll use my orbit tool to go on the other side, and then do this, and then do this. Okay, so now I can do it together, but it's good that I can key in the value. I will say 1.5. So I think now it looks better. The shape is like, so this way you can use fillet and chamfer. There is these are the tools that you should know as a beginner to start designing something, and to build something that is 3D printable. Okay, so yeah, so now suppose after merging you want to make one of the sides bigger or something. So there's this option called under modify, there's option called press pull. Okay, so press pull works on the faces. So what I mean by faces is, as I told you earlier, faces are the flat sides. Okay, so when you have selected press pull option, only the flat faces gets highlighted. So you can click on one of the flat side faces, and then there is this arrow that comes up, and then you can pull it. So you can make that side bigger, or you can make the side smaller, something like this. Okay, so suppose you had to design something that was half the cone and half the box, but you couldn't imagine how to design it. So what you could do is, you can design the full, and then you can just press pull one of the sides until you can see the half, and then now you have half. Okay, so that is press pull. So yeah, so these are the tools for this video. Yeah, in this video I'll show how to even change the color of the object. Okay, so to change the color of the object, what you could do is you can hover over the object, select the object, and in the menu here at the bottom you have this thing called material. You can go to material. You can not only change the color but also change the material, like just the appearance. And so right now it is default. I guess default is just, it's like no material specifically, but just something blue color. So you could change the color like this from here. Okay, so the darkness can be controlled here, and then this is the color thing, I guess. So you can make it metal, glossy metal,
Here's a
natural wood,
result from the web.
natural varnished wood, and matte plastic and all that. So you can do gold also. This is gold, and there are a lot of options here. You can try anything. So this is how you change the color of your object, and how to use fillet, chamfer, and press pull. I guess at the end of these three videos, you know how to move about in the workspace, zoom in, zoom out, and orbit, pan and orbit. Okay, then you know how to use this cube to view different sides of the object, and then you know how to use the home option when you are lost and when you want to see all of the objects that you have. And then you know how to use the move thing to move the object up, down, front and back, and then also be able to rotate the object. Okay, and then you also know how to insert the primitive shapes into the workspace. And uh, and yeah and yeah so that is really good as a beginner to know. Okay, so yeah, that's all for this video. I think, I hope this videos are helpful for you to learn this new software on your own, and then mm, and then start doing and start exploring the tool and build some cool models on your own. Okay, yeah, thank you guys.